one need of a man, and so if you're married to a normal, healthy man, his number one need is honor. And so honor and esteem, it is our greatest need in life. Women aren't under men in the sense of being unequal or subjected or in any way put in an inferior position. This is the key to a man's heart. The only way that you'll ever relate to a son, a father, a brother, a boss, or a husband is to know that his number one need is honor. It's the key to every man's heart. And so you're not being put down, you're literally being given by God here the key to your husband's heart. And it says, as to the Lord, as to the Lord. The standard is not how your mother honored your father. Listen, we live in a very dishonoring society. Did you know that? A very smart-alecky, rude, obnoxious, disrespectful society. The worst thing you can do, ladies, is to base the way you treat your husband off what you see on television, unless it's our TV show. The little caveat there. But so much of what we see today in the media, in popular media, is a very disrespectful, smart-alecky women, and they don't relate to men well. They're not successful in their relationships with men. Men are as tender in their egos as women are physically. And a big, strong man who looks big and strong, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And he's very, very sensitive as to, are you respecting him? Are you making him feel significant in his esteem? Let me say it another way. It's oxygen in his world. He will gravitate to the place where he has the most honor. He will gravitate away from the place where he doesn't get honor because it's painful. It's painful for him. And so when you give your husband honor, it literally fills his world with oxygen and it draws him to you. And so let me tell you the secrets of giving your husband honor. And the first is allow him to fail. I'm not talking about self-destructing. If your husband is in some kind of a self-destructive behavior, you need to take action. There needs to be intervention or some type of very strong warning to him and behavior that stops him. But every man's going to make mistakes. I mean, every man's going to make mistakes. And so let me talk for just a minute about driving, because, you know, if you want to know if you have demons, just get in the car together, because they all manifest in the car. That's what I believe. And so I remember my wife Karen's wonderful, and we have a wonderful marriage, but Karen is the most demonstrative driver and passenger I've ever met. And when she's driving, everybody on the road has a name, Mr., Lady, you know, whatever, and those are the nice ones. And she can't drive without being upset. I mean, she's so upset, she's offended at everybody. And, you know, they're driving too slow, they're changing lanes, they're whatever they're doing. And so when I'm driving, it's just this constant narration of my driving. And we've learned over the years, you know, it's kind of like our Las Vegas rule, is whatever happens in the car stays in the car. That's our new rule for driving. And so really, we get in the car, and, you know, if we get flustered at each other, we just leave it in the car. But early in our marriage, it caused a lot of trouble. But I remember hearing, you know, Joyce Meyer was teaching one day about her and her husband Dave, and she was nagging at him while he was driving, you know, and he was getting there, but he needed to go her way, you know. And this is Karen. Whichever way I go is longer than her way. And so they got in the car, and she was nagging, and I can't remember if it was her saying this to herself. I think it was the Holy Spirit saying this to her from the way she told it, but they were at a stoplight. They were mad at each other because she was nagging about his driving. And she was sitting there, and it was like the Holy Spirit said to her, "Why can't you shut up?" You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, what's more important, being right or being happy? And some people say being right. Well, okay. But you're going to get there anyway, probably. You know. Just state your piece and be quiet. Just let your husband do some things wrong. Let him do some things you don't agree with. And let him do it without shaming him and nagging at him and things like that. You have to let him make mistakes. Every husband's going to make mistakes. Any woman can honor a perfect man. The trick is honoring one that's imperfect. The second need that men have is sex. And so men are typically, 20% of women are more sexual than their husbands, but most men are more sexual than their wives. And so the way that you meet your husband's need for sex is, first of all, you communicate to your husband that you accept his need and that you're committed to meeting it. I accept this need. And again, I want to say, when I did pre-marriage counseling for a long time, getting people, couples ready to be married, and regardless of how much I told the young brides about their husband's need for sex, typically 6 months into the marriage, they're convinced they married a pervert, and all he thinks about is sex. And typically, what women do is they sometimes try to shame their husbands out of it. Like, again? It's impossible. This isn't healthy. Again. And lectures and browbeating, and it's I accept the fact that you're more sexual than me. And that's really the way that it is. God gave your husband that need to keep drawing him back to you. Understand that men are visual and physical much more than women. Now, women aren't blind related to sex, but men are visually stimulated. They want to see their wives naked, which means either naked or lingerie, and not flannel, and not canvas. So men don't need non-sexual touching. We want sexual touching, and we want to see our wives' bodies. And many women don't feel good about their bodies. And this is just, no man should ever compare his wife's body to any other woman. Okay? I married the most beautiful woman on the earth, period. When she's 99 years old, she will be the most beautiful woman on the earth, period. And I will never compare her to another woman, period. I will not compare my wife's body to anyone who has not paid the price to bear my children. And so, you shouldn't look at other women. You shouldn't compare your wife to any other woman. And so, but many women compare themselves, and they don't feel good about themselves, but need to understand your husband has that need. Another way that you meet your husband's need for sex is be more sexual than you feel. So let me rewind here for just a minute. Doesn't matter how you feel. You be sexual. Because some people think, well, sex, you have sex in marriage when you both feel like it. You'll have sex about 8 times. And most sex in marriage is meeting a need in your spouse that you don't have. And if your wife is more sexual than you, you do that for her. You meet your spouse's needs. Otherwise, you just leave them to their needs being unmet, which is a very bad thing. Be more sexual than you feel, and be energetic and creative in meeting your husband's need. Very important.